Before the last corporate war, hundreds of Series M communication towers stretched from coast to coast, linking the 4 megacities to the network. Today, however, ever since satellite communications came back online, the surviving towers are used primarily by the small outposts and settlements that stretch across the interior of the continent, and by those individuals who would rather have their information and communications kept secret. The effective range of each of these towers is around 100 kilometers, and most of them have had either small communities and hamlets spring up at their location, or at the very least are maintained by caretakers, hired or appointed by neighboring settlements. Xandar Niven was one such person. For 40 years he watched over Tower 82, situated midway between Dead Wild's mining village and the Red Springs opiate farm. Off the main highway and atop a low mesa, he seldom received visitors aside from lost travelers or caravaneers. It was reported that Xandar was a rather strange character. Short and frail in stature, he was neither hostile nor inviting to visitors. He barely spoke, and when he did, it was never in complete sentences, but rather 1 or 2 word phrases like, "Lost?" Or, for those travelers that found their way to Outpost 82 at dusk, "Stay there," at which point he would point to an old rusted trailer at the edge of the mesa. The only times that he was ever seen to really communicate was when he was tending to his hounds, a dozen massive wolf-like beasts that he would immediately corral into large electrified kennels whenever a stranger would approach his home. He could be seen whispering and giggling to his dogs all throughout the night, and when anyone would try to approach, the animals would begin snarling with menace, frothing and foaming at the mouth, with the Xandar's hand on the door release breaker ready to unleash hell. Best to just keep one's distance and leave at sunrise. Occasionally he would make runs to Red Springs for supplies and was well known in the area for having a talent at repairing and rebuilding cyber optic implants, and, in fact, had quite an impressive array of his own equipped. His own eyes having been replaced long ago, he had a total of 7 various implants with varying functionalities circling his skull like a halo. He literally had eyes in the back of his head. In late August, when the signal between Dead Wilds and Red Springs went out for the first time in memory, it was pointed out that nobody had seen Xandar in almost 4 months. A search and recovery party was formed, and as the group approached the plateau, a noticeable smell of ammonia hung heavy in the air. Ascending the switchback road, the caustic fumes intensified to the point that the group was forced to turn back with burning eyes and itching skin, but not before they noticed an odd, dim, purplish glow to the mountain laurels that lined the path. 2 days later, this time outfitted with respirators and envirosuits, they reached the summit of the hill. As a tech bot ran diagnostics on the Comm tower, which was positioned on the eastern edge of the 150-meter plateau, the team began their search. The kennels sat empty with their gates open. There was no sign of Xandar's dogs, but in one of the kennels a large pool of a tacky tar-like substance was found, and in another, curiously, was a pile of what looked like some sort of eggshells. Silence hung heavy in the air, almost oppressively. All of the scrub and cacti atop the mesa had the same purplish glow that was seen on their approach. In the center of the mesa was a 5-meter circular area in which the sand had been transformed into brittle shards of glass. Upon entering Xandar's metal shack, nothing seemed out of place. His cluttered workbench looked as if somebody had just stepped away for a moment or two while in the middle of a project. A rotting bowl of protein scrum sat on a table, squirming with purplish larvae. When they descended through the trap door, they found a well-tended hydro garden, also with the same purplish glow that all of the other plants had, a portasill for making homemade smash, 2 operating tables, and floor-to-ceiling cases of canned meal food, but there was absolutely no sign of Xandar Niven or his dogs. After around 20 minutes or so, the comm tower came back online. It seemed that it had been intentionally shut down, and that there hadn't been any sort of malfunction whatsoever. With their objective completed, the team scavenged what they could from Xandar's shack, leaving behind any consumables, and made their way back down the hill. Someone would eventually have to return to conduct a more thorough investigation as to what happened here, and the custodial position at Outpost 82 would need to be refilled, but all's well that ends well. As to Xandar Niven's fate, just another poor soul who was swallowed up by the Wasteland.